Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. The Demon Lord and the Ambassador, written by MWMN19. An offensive stench of sulfur and rot was the first thing that met the Ambassador's nostrils. Fortunately for his guards, they had masks on their faces, which made the smell less invasive. The sight within the massive chambers was akin to some kind of medieval fantasy, a cathedral of sorts. But instead of gold, there were bone ornaments that adorned the walls and ceiling of the dark chamber. Tall guards were lined in formation on either side of the large chamber, plate armor with many pointy ends. In the distance, sitting on an iron throne, gazing, with his fist holding up his head, down on the Ambassador and his guards, was an equally armored man or demon. He had an aura that emitted a sensation of dread. His expression could be seen. The Ambassador's best guess was a combination of irritation and impatience, maybe boredom. They walked down an old red carpet, probably pillaged from some king chamber or in another world. Once they arrived closer to the figure that would best be described as Sauron from R.R. Tolkien's book, lifted up his head and measured up the diplomatic party. "I have to say that your abode is, quite spacious," the Ambassador said whilst fiddling with his hands nervously. "What do you want?" A deep voice, bordering on a growl, exited the metal helmet of the Sauron ripoff. "We are here to have diplomatic talks. We want a ceasefire," the Ambassador said, this time much more confident. "You ask me, the Lord of Darkness, for a ceasefire?" the demon said, billowing out an amused laugh. "You humans are funny sometimes, but I have to give it to you that all of your armies were quite strong. But now that I've destroyed them, you are in no position to argue for peace. The only reason I let you inside was out of curiosity. Out of all the worlds I burned down, this one is most interesting." "Hear us out. We are here," the Ambassador began before he was cut off. "You are in no position to argue, human. I will burn down this world as I did countless others. Your armies are crippled, and by the size of those armies I can say that you have little population to replenish your ranks. Your technology and weapons mean nothing if you have no men to wield them. I have entire worlds that'll march against you." The Ambassador looked at his guards, who were now on high alert. The Ambassador fixed his tide, cleared his throat, and began to speak. "The Lord of Darkness, as you call yourself, is wrong. We indeed are in a position to argue, and those armies which you are speaking of weren't armies. Those were scouts." The demon leaned back on his throne. "Scouts! Then the real battle will begin soon, and your armies will be crushed. I will send hundreds of thousands, if need be, to destroy them, and even if you kill them, I will send thousands more." The Ambassador raised his brow before he reached into his interior pocket, retrieving a piece of paper. He unraveled it and looked at its contents. "I'll read you an order from the Global Coalition that was just issued just yesterday. Just a part of it." The Ambassador cleared his throat and once again began to read. "Da-da-da-da-da. The new knowledge of the other dimension, blah blah. Here it is. The Order of General Mobilization was issued on the 30th of March 2054. Every nation in the Coalition is to supply weapons, vehicles, and manpower for the liberation of Coalition territory." The Ambassador folded a piece of paper and returned it to his pocket. "In other words, Mr. Lord of Darkness, the entire planet is hell-bent on eliminating you. The scouting group consisted of 10,000 men, was nothing. You did suffer much casualties. By our estimates of up to 250,000 before the scouting group was overwhelmed. Sadly, reinforcements didn't come in time. Now, let me give you some statistics. Off the top of my head, the US will supply 200,000 men, the UK 50,000, Russia 100,000, Germany 20,000, France 30,000, China 150,000, Italy 10,000, for a total of 560,000 soldiers and thousands of tanks and armored vehicles with full air support. That does not include the mobilized troops, which count in the millions. By the earliest estimates, we are able to arm around 50 million men and women for the fight, though that number will increase significantly in the coming months. The demon looked down upon them in silence. Moments later, someone barged into the chamber. A small goblin-like creature ran towards the throne in panic. "My lord! My lord!" it exclaimed in a high-pitched voice. "What is it? How dare you barge in like this?" The small goblin creature kneeled down and extended his hands. Within them was a letter.
"My lord, I apologize, but the information is very, very important."
The demon scoffed and rose from its throne, grabbing the letter. Opening it, he silently read it. "What? How is this possible?" the demon exclaimed, ripping the letter in two. He kicked the small goblin creature, launched it at least 10 meters back. "Off with you!" the demon exclaimed, then looked at the ambassador. How did you do this?" The demon's voice was very first time, but exuded a tone of fear and weariness.
"Oh, I forgot that our nuclear armaments were also set on high alert. Your camp on the other side of the portal you set up just got a taste of human shock warfare. The hydrogen bomb is a force that can't be trifled with. I'll give you a fair warning. This marks the beginning of the operation. The leaders of the world were listening in on this conversation, and you got a unanimous conclusion." The ambassador smiled. "I apologize, but I must leave now. Soon this place is going to turn into a battlefield, and I wouldn't want to be in the way of our military's artillery." The ambassador turned around and began walking outside. You will pay for this, human! You will pay with your soul!" The ambassador stopped for a moment, turning his head to the side with a grin. "Welcome to Earth," before turning around and walking out, leaving the demon lord in silence. End of story. Story number 2, Warmth and Fire, written by Scientific Theory. When we found the crash, they looked so helpless. Strange bipedal bodies, scattered by impact of their ship, and the careless curiosity of my classmates. Simur wanted to leave, disgusted by the disrespect of others. But I noticed in one a quiet flame yet remaining. We carried it home, hoping for more explanation than the autopsies of the others. However, when its flame grew steady and its eyes slid open, no sounds came forth, only gentle streams tracing down its face. We were not savages. We understood the mechanics of several species' language, but we were not prepared for one whose language had no speech. Our little ember made only gestures, though it watched attentively when we vocalized. Writing progressed slowly and only with pictorial aid, but it allowed us to connect gestures to certain ideas and objects. Both the basics of food, water, and rest, but understanding slowly grew between us. It had a name, written, but without the knowledge to speak it. I called it Taj, an old form of the glyph for little flame. At the insistence of Taj, we soon returned to the impact site. I did not know what it hoped to gain, but as information was scarce, I hoped that something might foster true communication. I think that it was there within the shredded body of the ship, surrounded by the broken bodies of its kin, that I first truly saw. The quiet pulse of Taj's fire momentarily flared before it fell to the ground and wept. I sat quietly, and in time we plied the earth to bury its pain. A new day came, and this time gave more than it took. Taj retrieved 7 images of others like it, and seemed to be saying that they were not at the crash site. I hoped to placate Taj, and Simur quickly painted a likeness of the first image, with flowing hair and piercing grey eyes. So unlike Taj, yet its language was clear when it asked to hold the work. Simur huffed and began another, but Taj was already lost in the flowing paints. Taking Taj into town was unwise. The hot-blooded creature, with its pulsing flame, drew a crowd, and with it the answer to Taj's near-frantic singing of others. Merle, the Beastmaster, had acquired them. Then I said yes. Taj disconcertingly bared its teeth like an animal, before I followed with bad. It stared, confused, before its quiet melody of heat sped up and took a strange undertone. Where? When Simur, abhorrent of the surroundings, Morel pitted alien exotic animals against one another in popular and violent matches. Taj looked in every direction almost like a frightened Tanakh, but with heat and confidence in each step. Forgetting the contradiction, I spotted Mohal in the same moment he noticed our approach. Samar looked ill. We arrived. Mohal was negotiating a match for the grey-eyed one. Taj immediately pointed at it, and the gesture "give." I gently pulled him back before desperately asking to speak. Mohal believed Taj wanted to fight the grey one, and offered me a sum that nearly stopped my heart. When I corrected him and asked for the release of Sapiens, he laughed. When I sadly turned to Taj to tell it no, I realized it had already stepped forward. Boodishly, I realized it could understand, not just speak. I watched as Mohal cowered back. Taj had somehow acquired a full-length hunting claw, and, as we stared, I saw its little flame grow into a twisted inferno. By right of violent conquest and lack of counter-challenge, Taj gained uncontested ownership of Mohal's sordid empire. A monument of suffering torn apart for one grey-eyed human. That is, when the ship responded to their distress beacon, we greeted them with all honors, tearful and happy they reunited. That quiet little flame dancing in all of them. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, Dragzoon WRE, Holly Sister, Ambrose Cattell, and Quantum Wednesday. Thank you very much.